welcome everyone. I'm here today with some of the most influential members of the parking industry to have a chat about the current trends and what to expect in the future. Hello everyone.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
So for the audience members that might not know, I think it would be good to start off with the introductory round. Jeffrey, could you maybe start that with mentioning about your role and the responsibility within the company?
Absolutely. Hey everybody, I'm Jeffrey Byers, Chief Product Officer at ParkHub. My roles and responsibilities encompass all the products that we put out into the market, from our business intelligence tool, our mobile point of sale, basically anything you may have interacted with or seen. That's my passion and obsession.
Hi, I'm Nick Shambaum. I'm ParkHub's General Counsel and Chief of Staff. What that means is all things legal, transactional, HR related, that falls under my purview, and I really just do some blocking and tackling to help enable these guys to roam free and build products, deploy them, and keep customers happy.
I'm Jake Edsel. I'm the COO here at ParkHub. I'm responsible for the folks in the front line, our customer support, our client success managers, as well as logistics and our hardware teams. So we are in front of the clients day in, day out, getting feedback and hopefully passing that along to Jeffrey, and hopefully providing world-class support.
Awesome. So something that I wanted to start with is, within the industry, we've been seeing quite a lot of acquisitions and partnership. Jeffrey, I wanted to ask you, especially since ParkHub has been quite active with acquisitions of your own, why are we seeing this current trend within the market?
I think it makes a lot of sense to see some consolidation in terms of technology and offerings, right? We have kind of this evolution in parking, and we had a distribution of different solutions that together are significantly stronger or together provide a significantly stronger value proposition from some of these larger companies to their customers and clients. So in a lot of cases, it makes sense as either an extension into a new market, or it's an ancillary product or replacement product line that they're adding, simply to kind of level up some of the service offerings that can be provided and technology that can be provided.
And do you see an importance to keeping the brand when you are acquiring a company? What is the trend there?
I think it really depends on the brand equity of both companies. And specifically, I mentioned about tangential markets or other kind of end markets, as we typically refer to them as. But it depends on, is that company that's being acquired established? Do they have brand equity there? Are they recognized? Do they have something to bring to the table? In the case of that tangential market, it may not make sense for that brand equity just gets swept off the table. It's typically worth a substantial amount, especially if it also contains products that may be similar, but are substantially different enough that they've really carved out a place in a niche of their own. So, in some cases, it might make sense if that technology is being rolled up and applied to the same target market to take on the larger company or the stronger brand equity and the logo that comes with it. But in many cases, it also can make sense to leave that logo alone. It stands by its own.
And is this something that we're going to continue to see within the industry, or more in the short term?
I would expect, if we're talking about consolidation and specifically, I guess, some of those brands going away or being kind of swallowed up by larger key players, I would see more and more of that consolidation as this industry continues to mature, both as a business and technology that's powering it. Especially as we look at frictionless opportunities, unattended opportunities, automatic gate arm opening, BLE technology, RF technology. So as we kind of see all of these things advancing far beyond cash and credit cards, it's going to make sense that some of these solutions that are very, very niche oriented, that focus on one piece of the problem, get and do it well, get applied to a bigger product ecosystem. So yeah, I actually see that aggressively moving forward.
Jake, so I wanted to, in relation to this topic, ask you, when it comes to the operation aspect, what are the differences that you see in regards to partnerships and acquisitions and the impact on the company?
That's a good question, and a lot of it actually needs to be defined in the early days on the front end, and hopefully that's where Nick comes in on the legal side. But in the operations world, it's who's carrying the ball, so to speak, and who's on point with whatever aspect of the operation that we're talking about, and it needs to be defined early. And we see that in partnerships. Communication is key. Understanding how each entity is interacting with the client with each other should ultimately kind of lead to who is responsible for which element. In acquisitions, I mean, ideally, we kind of have this philosophy of crawl, walk, run. It's let's keep things the way that they are, and then slowly embed the acquisition partner. Let's take their process into our system. Let's apply our folks at some point if necessary, or really stepping back and looking at the whole picture. Can we solve stuff with technology? And hopefully that's something we try to do often in the operations world, is take a look at what is currently being done, and how do we optimize that with the latest and greatest technology, maybe software packages, things like that. In the partner world, again, it's a little different, because each company may have its own philosophies and ideologies that need to be followed, and it's about working together and making sure that at the end of the day, the end customer, the end client is being satisfied in their happiness, and all their operational needs are being met, as well as business needs.
When it comes to the trends that you see within the market, when it comes to these partnerships and acquisitions on the operation side of things, where do you see the industry going forward in?
As we look at the big picture, but what's happening is a lot of opportunity out there, and as Jeffrey was saying, in the acquisition space, there's a lot of capital out there being provided, and we have a lot of these smaller companies that have been working in silos or in their niches for a long time, and if they've been around 3, 4, or 5 years, they've hit a maturity point where they need to keep growing and move into being a bigger company or being acquired. So with that comes a lot of, from an operations perspective, these smaller companies don't have best of breed, policies and things of that nature. So what we're seeing is it's a lot of hacking. It's a lot of let's just get the job done with these younger companies. And so when we look at this, it's how do we modernize what is the future of support? And it's unfortunately, there's always some financial element to it in regards to cost of goods sold and some of those things. So you got to take that into consideration. But really, what we strive to do is take our ParkHub philosophy and kind of implement that across the board, and that's really providing the world-class service, streamline operations. So the trends really are modernization, optimization. That's kind of synonymous with all business, right? That's where everyone wants to be and everyone wants to go. So it's identifying in this, these targeted companies, what can we modernize, what can we optimize, and how does that fit into our global ecosystem? So trends being, it's really just globalization, optimization, and making things more efficient and streamlined.
Nick, I wanted to come to you now in regards to a question specific to what has been the norm now for quite a while with working from home. And this combination with the flexibility of having to come to the office for a few days, this combination that we see nowadays, how is this impacting the company ParkHub, and what trends do you see there moving forward?
So I think ParkHub turned on a dime when this all started to go down back in March of last year. And we transitioned to a remote first organization pretty quickly. We saw the writing on the wall, and we kind of understood that we were never going to be able to go back. We're never going to want to go back necessarily to the way things used to be relative to bringing everybody into the four walls of ParkHub. That's what we want. I mean, because it's an easy way to build culture. So what does that mean when we're working remotely? Well, one, there's a deeper talent pool, right? We're able to work with people all across the country. So we've actually hired some fantastic people in California, New York, and otherwise over the last 12 months. But also that means we need to be more proactive and intentional with our employee engagement efforts. So about every couple of quarters, I'll engage some of my colleagues on the leadership team, challenge them to go and get feedback from their team to see what's working, what's not working. ParkHub has a core value called clear, honest, respectful communication, but also data-informed decision-making. So what that means for me, I'm a licensed attorney, I'm an experienced lawyer. I am taking on this role as HR because it's something that I like to do, want to do, and think I'd be good at it. But I don't know all the answers. So we ask people for their feedback and say, in which ways are we really knocking this out of the park? And in which ways did we just stub our toe? Tell us, and we'll fix one, and we'll do more of the other. And hopefully we do more of the good thing.
So it's more of a learning process. You work on it on the go.
Yeah, I mean, it's no different than the PPP loan applications, right? I mean, we're figuring this all out in real time, just like everybody else. So nobody knew how to just switch to remote first. Everybody's dealing with it. Some companies are better equipped than others. And the Googles and the Silicon Valley companies, they get all the headlines. But the folks like us that have companies with pretty big national scope operations, international, international touch points across the globe, impacted by everything that happens on this planet, we have to deal with it too. So learning, yeah, absolutely.
All right, so then a difficult question: where do you see it to finalize? When it comes to the conclusion of it all, let's say COVID is not a big issue anymore. What do you think will be the norm in the future?
I think let's say hypothetically, COVID is done, wiped out, and we have the opportunity to go back to normal March of 2022. So it's been a full 2 years. I don't think we ever go back to the way things were in most regards. And the reason why is because we have shown that we can work remotely in most regards. Any company that after 2 years is still around has probably figured out a good way to work remotely, right? Like almost by definition. So the staff and the team that make up that entity might have also changed their daily routines and their lives and their new patterns to accommodate this new reality. So those talented individuals almost demanded as table stakes to be able to work remotely. Now, I think there's going to be a second wave of this that focuses on how people manage their own lives, set boundaries, so that they're not burning themselves out 24/7, which is what I did, what a lot of people did. And I think that that's going to be the hardest part, is helping your team understand just because you can work constantly does not mean you necessarily need to. It definitely doesn't mean you should.
Jeffrey, so I wanted to come to you now more to talk about specifically solutions and products and the trends that we see there, especially with ParkHub. With the recent, last year, you made an announcement of ParkHub Safe. With this focus on contactless and safety, is that something that was already a trend where the industry was already headed, or something that came about because of COVID-19?
So a lot of that focus, we kind of intermix frictionless, contactless, and during COVID we were using more of the safe nomenclature, but largely that was something that we were talking about, that we were pursuing ahead of COVID, but this was largely a catalyst and helped accelerate a lot of the buy-in and adoption of those particular pieces of technology. Like Jake was mentioning about optimization, that is true kind of through every thread of many of our customers and the businesses and the areas that they're focused on. And this just brought that particular piece to a head. It also helped us focus and kind of pursue some things a bit faster than maybe we would have been able to or intended to, prior to March of 2020. But largely that existed before. It's been accelerated, and we expect that acceleration to continue at least near term as we see more and more adoption of different kinds of contactless, frictionless payments, credit cards and beyond, QR payments, crypto payments, as we see toll tags being utilized, things of that nature. So it's a pretty exciting time.
Perfect. Yeah, looking forward to where things head in that regard. I also wanted to ask you, Jeffrey, so when it comes to the positioning of the company, looking forward, what do you think will be the core aspects and what is going to make the key factors of what a company will make them successful?
Us in particular in our positioning, or are you asking more just in the market in general?
In general, about the industry.
If this was advice for maybe a smaller company or somebody with an idea or starting, it's really carving out that niche. Like I mentioned, I believe those companies will continue to get snapped up. There are still some pretty hairy problems that have to get solved, especially as we look at again more and more opportunities in terms of the frictionless contactless space. A lot of that just hasn't been figured out. It hasn't been optimized. Those potential solutions still exist, and those problems are sure painful. And things can move faster, be cheaper, be easier, be more elegant, create more exceptional experiences for the fans. If it was a bigger company, I would say, look at some of the key players that are emerging, or invest in your own. Invest in your own innovation in-house to pursue some of these, or bring in teams that can pursue them, because some of it seems cutting edge, but it's really not risky in terms of technology. When we look at producing very expensive hardware or something like that, it's really piecing together parts of this experience that are substandard in terms of where kind of the rest of the world is going, or some maybe hyper aggressive markets are heading. But largely it's about that fan experience. That's where everything is kind of pointing, making people feel comfortable, making people feel safe, making people have just an exceptional time. That way there is no second guessing in terms of, are they going to go to this game or this concert or anything of that nature.
Jake, Nick, anything to add in this regard?
I think Jeffrey hit on a lot of the key parts there. I mean, to be relevant, the direction the park industry is going, it's all about those things of contactless, frictionless, ease of use, fan experience. I mean, user experience. All of those things are going to be the keys for success for the future. Any of these smaller companies maybe starting out, or again, Jeffrey said the larger companies trying to keep pace. Innovation is key. I think we've all identified there's a lot of capital coming into this market, and there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of really smart people that are applying a lot of intellect and knowledge to this industry. With driverless cars and all of these things that are happening in maybe near future, distant future. This seems to be kind of a moving target of when we'll really see all these things, but that's going to apply a whole different level of change to the industry, and with that is innovation. And so people just need to be nimble and ready to deploy, capital to innovation and keep pace.
All right. Thank you everyone for joining today. It was an absolute pleasure discussing with you all, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for joining. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.